Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today I want to talk to you about something that really matters. Something we don't talk about enough, but we all will face eventually. It's about how we talk to people who are dying, what we say, what we shouldn't say, and how just a few wrong words, even if meant kindly, can hurt someone who's facing the end of their life. This message is inspired by hospice nurses who have devoted their entire lives to this very subject. The first of these nurses is Nurse Julie McFadden, a hospice nurse with decades of experience. She works closely with people in their final days and has made it her mission to educate others about what dying actually looks like, how we can support people during it, and most importantly, how to speak to someone who is nearing the end. In one of her most powerful and emotional videos, Nurse Julie talked about a comment she came across online that completely fired her up. And honestly, once you hear it from her side, you'll understand exactly why. She came across a comment left under a video of someone who was openly sharing their terminal illness journey. This person had been clear. They were dying, and they were showing their experience with such bravery and openness. But someone in the comments wrote something along the lines of, "Don't give up," or "Keep fighting. You're going to beat this." Julie didn't reveal who wrote it or which video it was under because she respects people's privacy. But she had to speak out because even though it probably came from a place of hope or encouragement, she said that kind of comment is actually harmful. It's not encouraging, it's disrespectful. What made it even more heartbreaking is that the person who made the video has since passed away. That's why the comment and others like it really hit a nerve for Julie, because even though people mean well, they often don't realize how deeply these words can cut. Here's the reality she wants everyone to understand. When someone is at the end of their life and they've come to terms with that, the last thing they need is someone telling them to fight harder or hold on longer. Because that kind of language suggests that if they die, it's because they didn't try hard enough. It unintentionally puts blame on them for something that is out of their control. And the truth is, some illnesses are terminal. Some diseases do not have a cure. Sometimes, no matter how strong you are or how much faith you have, the body just can't go on. And that is not failure. That's just life. We are all going to die one day. And when we accept that truth, it helps us live better and support each other better. Julie said something that really stayed with me. She said we need to redefine what hope actually means. Because most of us think hope means staying alive no matter what. But that's not the kind of hope people at the end of their lives need. Real hope is not about living forever. It's about living fully, right now, with whatever time you have left. It's about peace. It's about presence. It's about being surrounded by love and comfort and honesty, not false promises. If you want to say something supportive to someone who is dying, here's what you can say. You can say, "Thank you for sharing your journey. Your light shines so bright." That kind of message acknowledges their strength, it respects their truth, and it still offers encouragement without pretending that death isn't coming. Julie gets passionate about this because she sees it every day. People don't know what to say. They want to be helpful. They want to offer support. But they end up saying things like, "My uncle had the same cancer, and he's still alive 10 years later." Or, "You can't give up, keep fighting, miracles happen." But here's the thing. When someone tells you they're dying, the most respectful thing you can do is believe them. Don't try to rewrite their story. Don't throw out medical miracles or internet cures or survival stories. Because in that moment, your job is not to give advice. Your job is to listen. Just listen. If someone says, "I feel sad, I got bad news today," your response should not be, "Stay positive," or "Don't worry." Instead, you can simply say, "I'm so sorry. That must feel really heavy." And just leave it there. Let them feel what they're feeling. Let them talk if they want to, or sit in silence if they need that too. Julie says the best way to support someone who is dying is not with advice, but with presence. Show up. Sit with them. Be willing to feel uncomfortable. Because what they're going through is incredibly difficult, and your job is not to make it easier with words. It's to walk beside them in whatever they're feeling. And if you truly don't know what to say that. Say, "I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you." Or, "Thank you for sharing this with me. I want to support you any way I can. Or even, I'm so glad I get to be here with you through this. That honesty, that vulnerability is so much more powerful than any cliché or forced positivity. So the next time you see someone posting about their terminal illness, or someone in your life tells you they're dying, take a moment. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't reach for a hopeful phrase out of fear or discomfort. Just be there. And if you speak, speak with your heart, not your fear. Julie ended her message by saying that the real hope we can offer each other is in helping one another live each day with love and presence, and to die in peace, not fear. That is the kind of hope we should be sharing. So now that we've talked about what Nurse Julie McFadden had to say, let's look at what other hospice nurses and palliative care doctors are also saying. Because this isn't just one person's opinion. This is a message echoed by so many professionals who have spent years, even decades, walking beside people in their final moments. And the truth is, they all agree on one very powerful thing. How we speak to someone who is dying matters more than most people realize. Hospice nurse Hadley Vlahos, who is also known as Nurse Hadley online, has been very open about this. She says people often assume their words are helpful, but sometimes what we think is comforting can actually feel isolating or dismissive to someone facing the end of their life. She talks about how people often say things like, "You've got this." And while those words are full of good intentions, what they often do is shut the door on honest conversation. It makes the person feel like they have to put on a brave face when really, they might just want to say, "I'm scared, I'm tired, I don't want to fight anymore." Nurse Hadley shares that sometimes the most healing thing is to give people permission to feel whatever they are feeling, whether it's anger, sadness, fear, or even peace. Let them speak, let them cry, let them be silent. She says that being present without needing to fix anything is one of the most sacred things you can do for someone who is dying. Another experienced hospice nurse named Jennifer O'Brien, who wrote The Hospice Doctor's Widow, has spoken about how even healthcare workers themselves are sometimes afraid of death, and that fear can creep into how they communicate with patients and families. She says that words like "you're going to beat this" or "we just need more time" are often ways we try to comfort ourselves, not the person who's dying. Jennifer shares that one of the most helpful things we can do is to ask open, gentle questions like, "What are you most afraid of right now?" Or, "Is there anything you'd like to talk about that you haven't had the chance to yet?" These questions give the person control over their story and allow them to guide the conversation in a way that feels right for them. Then there's Dr. B.J. Miller, a palliative care physician who is widely respected for his work around death and dying. He speaks about this subject with such calm and wisdom. He says we have to let go of the idea that dying is a medical failure. It's not. It's a natural part of life. And when we accept that, we begin to treat dying not as something to be fought, but as something to be honored. Dr. Miller believes that a peaceful death begins with honest conversations. He encourages loved ones to stop pretending everything is fine and instead say things like, "I'm here, I love you. I don't know what this will be like, but I'm going to be with you through it." He says the most meaningful thing we can give someone who's dying is our full attention, not our advice, not our solutions, just our presence. Alua Arthur, who is also a death doula, speaks about this from a spiritual and emotional perspective. She says that when people are dying, they often want to be remembered. They want to know they mattered. They want to talk about their lives, their regrets, their memories. And the people around them should create space for that, rather than filling the room with toxic positivity or empty reassurances. She recommends saying things like, "Tell me what's on your mind," or "What's one memory that always makes you smile?" These are the kinds of questions that open doors instead of closing them. They let the dying person feel seen and heard, not just as someone with an illness, but as a full human being who lived, loved, and mattered. Another nurse who speaks openly about this is Catherine Morrison, a hospice nurse based in the UK. Catherine has worked in hospice care for over 20 years, and one thing she always emphasizes is this: don't force positivity. She says families often feel the need to keep things light or cheerful around someone who's dying, thinking it will keep their loved one hopeful. But what it often does is create a barrier. It stops real conversation. Catherine says that patients will often confide in nurses more than their own families, simply because they feel like they can be honest without making anyone uncomfortable. That should tell us something. The people who are dying still want to talk. They want to be open. They want to be heard. But when we try too hard to keep things positive, they start to protect us from their truth. She says it's okay, actually it's healthy, to let the dying person take the lead. If they want to talk about the past, let them. If they want to sit in silence, sit with them. If they cry, just be there. Don't tell them don't cry. Let them cry. Hold their hand. That's all they need sometimes. Then there's Tara C., a hospice nurse from Canada, who says something similar. She says one of the most damaging phrases people say without even realizing it is, "Don't talk like that." When a terminally ill person expresses fear, sadness, or the reality of their approaching death, she said, "One of my patients said to her daughter, 'I think it's getting close.' And the daughter immediately cut her off and said, 'Don't say that. You're going to get through this.' And you could see the mom just shut down." Tara explained that at that moment, what her patient needed was not denial, but acknowledgement. She needed to be met where she was, not where others wished she was. Tara says when we tell people not to talk about death, we silence a sacred part of their journey. We're essentially saying, "Your truth is too heavy for me." And that makes them feel alone, right at the moment when they need connection the most. Maria Gonzalez, a hospice social worker in Texas who's also worked as a grief counselor, adds that many people think saying things like, "You're strong," is comforting, but it can actually feel like pressure. It puts a burden on the person to be someone they may no longer have the energy to be. She shared a story of a man in his 50s who was terminally ill and told her, "Everyone keeps telling me I'm strong, but I don't want to be strong anymore. I just want to be held." That moment stuck with her, and she now teaches families to offer softness instead of strength. Gentle words, quiet presence, and honest empathy. Then there's Nancy Lefebvre, a senior nurse and end-of-life care expert in Canada. She said something incredibly powerful in a panel discussion on dying. She said, "We need to stop treating death like it's the enemy. It's not the enemy, it's the final chapter, and how we write that chapter, for ourselves and with our loved ones, matters." Nancy encourages people to stop avoiding the word death. She said, "The more we dance around it with vague phrases like, 'You'll be fine' or 'You'll pull through,' the more we leave the dying person feeling unseen. Instead, she suggests using honest, gentle language like, 'I know this is hard. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. It's okay to talk about what you're feeling. You can say anything.' That kind of openness is what allows someone to relax into the truth of what's happening, instead of resisting it or feeling ashamed for being scared." Another voice that really stands out is Angela M., a hospice home nurse in California. She shared that one of the most meaningful things a dying patient ever said to her was, "Thank you for not pretending." She said that moment changed the way she communicates with every patient since. Sometimes people don't want comfort in the form of words. They just want your full attention, your honesty, and your heart. Angela also says that one of the best ways to support someone who is dying is simply to let them be real. She advises people to stop trying to fix anything and just let moments be what they are. If there's laughter, let it be laughter. If there's grief, let it be grief. Don't rush through anything. Don't try to say the right thing. Just be there. Let things unfold naturally. So here's the pattern we see across all of these experienced wise voices in end-of-life care. The message is clear and consistent. When someone is dying, they do not need your solutions. They do not need you to cheer them up. They do not need you to pretend everything will be okay. What they do need is your presence, your honesty, your willingness to just be there, your permission for them to be fully human without pretending. And sometimes they just need someone to sit next to them in silence and say, "I'm not going anywhere." That's where the real comfort lives. That's where the real peace begins. When we stop trying to protect ourselves from the reality of death, we actually create a deeper, more beautiful space for someone else to walk through it with dignity. So when we look at all these voices, Nurse Julie, Nurse Hadley, Jennifer O'Brien, Dr. B.J. Miller, Alua Arthur, and others. They're all saying the same thing in their own way. People who are dying don't need to be cheered up or fixed. They need to be heard. They need to be allowed to feel what they feel without being corrected or rushed through it. They need comfort, not correction. Presence, not platitudes. And most of all, honesty wrapped in love, not denial wrapped in fear. If you've ever been in a situation where you didn't know what to say to someone who's dying, please know that you are not alone. This is one of the hardest things we ever have to do. But you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. Say, I'm here. Say, I'm listening. Say, you don't have to go through this alone. That's it. That's where true comfort begins. And if we can all start talking about death more openly, we can begin to change the way we approach it. Not with fear, but with peace, respect, and love. Thank you for listening. If this message helped you, please leave a comment below, share your thoughts, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because we're going to keep having real conversations here, the kind that help us live better and eventually die better too. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.